So I decided to record this because whenever I try to explain to people what is happening in Ukraine, basically I get a response that what I say is Russian propaganda all the time, and the people are so brainwashed these days. You can't really get anything through because they're just convinced in the narrative that has been sold to them from out of uh, you know every freaking TV screen or any other screen, or newspapers, whoever reads them, I don't know these days. But this is basically Ukrainian newspaper, news source, Censor.net, UA, right? You can see everything is in Ukrainian here, so we're going to translate it to English. Of course, the translation is not going to be ideal, but I'll try to. It says Sens, but it means a name of the place called Peski. You can or Piski right here. It didn't translate it, and the author is a soldier or an officer, I think, from Ukrainian army, and he starts with these words: "What is there to lose? What else can be taken from me on the sixth day of my personal hell in Piski, a kilometer from the first street of Ukrainian Donetsk?" Just to explain, Piski is a place right next to Donetsk. It's a place that has been used as a for positions of Ukrainian artillery, which has been shelling Donetsk, the center of the city, indiscriminately and killing civilians, children, daily. They would send, and so this guy is now in trouble because they've had it basically like a few days ago. They started sending shells and cassette missiles to Donetsk with anti-personnel mines, PF1, which are really small, tiny plastic mines that get thrown around and anybody can get their foot blown off. It requires very small pressure, 5 kilograms to explode. And children, running around, they're green or dark brown. You can see them in the grass. Uh, so that's what Ukrainians has army has been doing the last few days. And these guys are basically headed, and they decided because the positions are so well, like there are have concrete bunkers with really thick walls. They've been building it for 80 years, and it's really hard. Russians couldn't figure out how to get through there, and now it started. So this guy's complaining, and it says it has been 6 such days of means a lot of shelling, and I can't imagine how even a small number of our infantry survived in this flurry of enemy fire. Right? Sometimes blah blah blah. We hardly respond. There's no counter battery fire. From the word go, the enemy puts artillery shells in our trenches without any problems. Dismantles very strong concrete positions. See, like I said, in tens of minutes, pushing our defense line without pause or minimal rest. The day before yesterday, it broke, and a river of 200 or 300 was poured. What is it's trying to translate here is something that is in Russian and Ukrainian military slang. 200 and 300 are designations for casualties. 200 is a uh, dead personnel, and 300 is wounded, basically. And he says that a river of those was poured, meaning that they started getting a lot of dead and wounded. And he says here, I will not publish any statistics, it's forbidden in our country, but you have no idea the number and percentage of losses. So there are tremendous losses, and basically, like you said in the beginning, what else can be taken from me? He meant that basically he can talk about this, but he's had it. And I've seen a lot of videos where they say that they basically are sent to the front lines to be cannon fodder and to die. And he's talking about this here. People don't believe me usually, but it turns into a senseless meat grinder where an insane amount of our infantry is ground up in a day. Did you really want the truth? Here it is, the naked truth. The reserve goes to the position, closes the breakthrough, and after 5 minutes, only one of the 15 people remains intact. One in 15 dies. That's unbelievable, right? So, and here's he's talking about them not having equipment and not being equipped to fight the Russian army. They just took the 300s, means a person who is 300 wounded. He shouted all the way, "Where is the support? Where is the artillery? Why were we abandoned?" I heard all the time from Ukrainian soldiers. I have seen probably, I don't know, a dozen or 2 dozen videos where they complain just about that. They're thrown in to die. Zelensky basically sends his soldiers to the front to die just to continue receiving money from the. And make no mistake, they pocket a lot of this money. There are videos about it. There are reports about it all over the place. People selling black market of guns. Officers selling stuff. It's like, if you want to know, the data is there. The problem is that the Western run-of-the-mill public does not want to know anything. They just consume the propaganda and then they feel all, informed, quote unquote. And all reserves are destroyed. Military equipment doesn't fire. The enemy approaches and without any problems occupies our positions after another barrage of artillery. We are losing the sense. This was the most fortified position. This and Avdiivka are two places that were so fortified that the Russians and mined. Um, what they did, they used a special device that throws a big hose filled with explosives. Russians did at their minefields and basically cleared the path, and they rushed them. That's what they did a few days ago, and that's how this was broken through. It was a huge minefield with big bunkers that the Russians couldn't get through. And now they're losing it. That's what basically is happening on the front. This is what's going on. And the Russians are actually fighting with a much smaller force. And the Ukrainian government is using its people to prolong this conflict for their own basically interests, which are not the interests of the country at all. It's been going on for 8 years. You haven't known anything about it because it's been hidden. It's been they've been lying all this time. This is what this means. What else can be taken from me? Because he's not afraid anymore that they're gonna imprison him, torture him, or whatever they do in those, basements and the SBU. So there you go. There you have it.